Hello everyone and welcome to episode 7 of Britball with the Breens. Before we start this week, I've been a bit bombarded with our pronunciation. So first of all, explain to me how that is Berkshire. Like dogs bark, right? Yeah, it's Berkshire, right? Anyway, so we thought we'd have a bit of a laugh, and if anyone fancies it, try and say this word. Okay, send it to us. We'll get a good laugh out of it.
Okay, just for reference, that's a place up beside us. Okay, so let's see if anyone can give that a go and anyone can pronounce that.
Any good videos will be worth it. So, what we'll do is we'll go through the results from the week just past, and again, we'll go towards the fixtures for this coming week. So, we'll start with a bit of a surprise in the Premiership North. Now, whether this was to do with an injury, a really bad injury that one of the Tamworth players had, and it had a huge mental impact on their team, 0 points on offense. They got beat 21-0 by Manchester.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, well done to the Manchester Titans. I mean, it's an incredible result. You know, nobody's been able to knock them off in the North for years. And 21-0 on the road is a phenomenal result. Where does that leave Tamworth? Is it a blip? Do we know? I guess we'll get to find out this weekend. But, you know, a great result for Manchester. Really, really great result.
Yeah, I think for me, the frustration is that back in March, I predicted Manchester might win that division. But the Tamworth put 40 points in the first half in the Wolves away. Manchester put 14 points total. Like, how does that... I just don't understand this anyway. But some result for Manchester, so congratulations to them. In the SFC2 South on the Saturday, there was another game. Bournemouth Bobcats with a easy victory, 44-6 over Jurassic Coast. Nothing much we can say there, kind of expected. Into the Sunday games, Merseyside Nighthawks 20, Sheffield Giants 0.
I mean, once again, the Giants' defence is kept at low scoring, but their offence just isn't putting enough points to make the difference. It's a good win for Merseyside. They'll be pleased with that. It's a shutout win. Yet another game that's not ridiculous in score, but still, the Giants' offence just not doing enough to get points on the board and win games.
Yeah, and see, with everything that's happened this week, Merseyside must think they're in a chance of winning this division. Must do. The other game in that division, Leicester Falcons 10, Edinburgh Wolves 0. Now, we watched this game. Edinburgh got the opening kickoff, should have scored, dropped TD in the end zone, and they missed so many opportunities. And in the end, Leicester Falcons just that one touchdown made the difference.
Yeah, I mean, I caught more sort of the second half of this game. Both defences clearly were fired up, which from an offensive point of view made it a particularly painful watch. But Leicester managed to get the win in the end. They got the job done, and that now gives us a three-way circle for who's actually going to get relegated as well as who could win the division.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. So they have a proper relegation battle in their hands now, Edinburgh. So we'll just see how that one goes. Before I do this next one, somehow the light in Scotland went out. The Prem South, Farnham Knights 28, Kent Exiles 13. You watched this game?
Yeah, I got to watch all this game, and to be honest, from start to finish, Farnham were the better team. I was a little surprised, thought given Kent's win over Bristol earlier in the year, Farnham's current form, I thought this would be the nail in the coffin for the Knights, but hands down to them, they looked the better team from start to finish. A couple of long touchdown passes and one-on-one coverage, and fairly questionable defense from Kent on those fronts, but well done to Farnham for getting that result, which now gives them the head-to-head over Kent going into the future games.
Yeah, and I think Farnham basically stuffed Kent's run game from what I believe, so good result there. The London Olympians 7, London Warriors 54. Now at half-time, or whatever, quarter, we were scratching our heads going 7-all, but obviously Warriors have just proved too much for them in the end. but it looks like they had a decent outing that day. The Olympians. The NFC 1 North, East Kilbride Pirates. They won 39-7 against Glasgow Tigers. Obviously our division. Pirates looking really strong. Just too much for Glasgow.
Yeah, it's not an unsurprising result given that only a few weeks back they did something similar. A quarterback throwing five touchdown passes, I believe, in the game, or when you give up that much through the air, you're never going to fare well in defence. And also with East Kilbride really getting that passing game going, that's a terrifying prospect looking to the playoffs.
Yeah, and in the other game there, the Gateshead Senators 7, Yorkshire Rams 53. Yorkshire Rams seem to be on a bit of a roll just now, starting to put up some points on offence. Gateshead obviously coming up to us this week, so that'll be interesting. The NFC 1 South, probably one of the best games of the day. Lancashire Wolverines 22, Shropshire Evolution 21. Shropshire were up by a lot, and seemed to have thrown it away in the second half.
If you believe ScoreStream anyway, it was 21-7 to Shropshire late in the third quarter, whether it's a total collapse by Shropshire or Lancashire just got things going, I don't know, but going for 2 points to win the game at the end, you've got to have stones on you to make that call, and when it pays off, you're the hero.
So Lancashire Wolverines seem to be finding a bit of a bite late in the season. SFC 1 Central, the Berkshire, whatever you call it, Renegades 6, the Sussex under 17. Now this was a low scoring effort. I thought Sussex would hammer them.
Yeah, unfortunately, their bark was much worse than their bite. Sussex get the job done. Again, their offense just hasn't seemed to be as prolific as it has been in the last few years. Again, you're on the road, so it's kind of too hard to be critical about these things. A win's a win at this point in the season.
Yeah, that's very true. The other game, the Oxford Saints 17, Portsmouth Dreadnought 36. Really solid win away from home from Portsmouth. Oxford looked like they couldn't really get going. Portsmouth took a commanding lead and never let it go. So that's again put them into contention with this division. It's all up in the air just now. So that'll be a good one to watch. The SFC 1 East, Wembley Stallions ran all over Colchester 32-6. Again, you've been quite high on Wembley this season, and they've had a bit of up and down, but too much for Colchester at the moment.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about this game here is that now Colchester and Ouse Valley both have no wins in 6 games and have yet to play each other, and yet Ouse Valley are already relegated.
Yeah.
You can't help but be a little bit disappointed if they've not forfeited that game. They were definitely in with a chance of staying up. They've got 2 games against Colchester, and if they go the way of the Eagles, then you're going to have to be disappointed as a member of that team.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Although I fully believe that if you skip a game, you should be relegated. It'd just be interesting to see how they fare against Ouse Valley, however you say that one as well. In the NFC 2 North, Clyde Valley Blackhawks 30, Darlington Steam 0. Away from home, Clyde Valley looking really strong just now. We know they've got a decent sized squad this year. Got some decent players, some really senior players on their team. So, but a shutout away from home is a pretty decent result for them.
The good thing about this one from a Clyde Valley point of view as well is that they had 5 weeks between their last game and this one because of the whole Carlisle folding fiasco. 5 weeks does a lot of things to teams. I mean, you know how hard it is to get guys down to practice when they're not motivated for a game. So to go down away to Darlington and win 30-0 is a great result before they start another 5-week break before that decider with Dumfries. Yeah,
and for something we've worked out is that conceding no points could potentially help Clyde Valley's seeding come a few weeks' time, but we'll discuss that later. So the NFC 2 Central, Leeds Bobcats 44, Nottingham Raiders 0. As was said, it's kind of predicted. Leeds second strongest team in that division. The only real interesting game in that division will be when Leeds play Halton at home. The SFC2 West, Bristol Apache 28, Cornish Sharks 0. Cornish Sharks defence hasn't been giving up much points. Bristol just seemed like they were too strong on the day.
Yeah, not a strange result as per se, but it's a good win for Bristol. 28-0's commanding. Shut the opposition out. Yeah, they're at home. That also helps, but it's a good strong win, and a little bit of doubt with the Sharks at the moment.
Yeah, and the SFC2 South. It was a surprise, but was this the London Blitz B, C, D, E, F or G team that was playing Hastings? I'm not too sure, but they won 39-0 away from home, so that's a good solid result. I expected it to be way more.
Yeah, at this point I don't even know if there's enough alphabets for the players that were on the field. 39-0 and Hastings still yet to score a point this year.
Yeah. And last division, SFC2 East, the Norwich Devils won 3-0 against the East Essex Sabres. How boring. But for Norwich, a win's a win. At home, don't want to lose.
Yeah, I mean, the Sabres have been a bit strange, and you would expect Norwich to win quite comfortably. But, as you say, a win is a win. I'm not sure we can say much about boring, considering we boast a lower scored game than that this year. But yeah, 3-0 is not exactly anything to get the crowd wild for, but it's a good win for Norwich.
Yeah, and the other game, East Kent Mavericks 30, Maidstone Pumas 19! 19 points!
I mean, it's kind of what we said all year, Maidstone have clearly made improvements off the field that have led to improvements on the field. They're getting there, they're competing in games. 30-19 is a competitive game, which you wouldn't have said about them not that long ago.
No.
Now the big thing is taking those score lines and improving on them, competing in games week in, week out, and starting to rack up wins. But it's a good result for East Kent Mavericks. It's a good win, but it's also a good showing from Maidstone.
Yeah, next season, Maidstone. Next season. So, just a quick shout out again to Manchester, because I think they are the first team ever to get 0% of the vote and win. So they had absolutely 0% this week. Nobody voted for them, and they come away with a 21-0 win. So bravo. So on to this week's fixtures. Now there's loads of these, so we'll fire through them. In the Prem North, there's some massive games. So in the Prem North, we have Leicester Falcons versus Tamworth Phoenix. Now, Leicester coming off of a huge win that possibly lifts them away from relegation. Tamworth coming off a huge loss where they scored 0 points. Do we see this going anyway but Tamworth?
Well, now you ask the question, do we know anymore? Not to mention there's clearly a bit of rivalry between these two teams given the pre-season shenanigans. But I still think Tamworth will win.
Away from home?
Away from home. It's not exactly a huge journey.
No.
I think there'll be enough. However, this game might now be a lot closer than we first expected.
Yeah. So that'll be an interesting one, especially because the next game, Sheffield Giants are playing Edinburgh Wolves at home. Now, Edinburgh desperately need to win this game. Desperately need to win this game now.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams have a win apiece. Edinburgh's win is over Sheffield. However, that points differential head-to-head is 1 point, and that was in Edinburgh. This game is now massive. It is must-win for both these teams in order to keep themselves alive if they want to stay in the Prem. I don't know.
I've went for the Giants purely because they're at home. I think Edinburgh showed enough last week in times, but I think with the Giants' defence being as good as it seems, I'm not sure Edinburgh can overcome this away from home.
Yeah, I mean, I have went with the Giants as well, purely on the basis of, the Leicester Falcons defence shut out the Wolves, and, the Giants have showed that strong defence all year, and I don't see how the Wolves put up the points to win the game.
No.
That being said, Sheffield Giants are off the back of a shutout as well, so who knows, this could be a 3-0 thriller.
Yeah. So, the other last game in that division, Manchester Titans versus Merseyside Nighthawks. Now, Merseyside already thumped Manchester this season, and I've picked the Merseyside Nighthawks this week purely because although they're away from home, it's not a huge journey. However, if Manchester play like they did at the weekend, obviously they then come into their own and they might win this game. So this game could go either way.
Yeah, I have sided with Merseyside, but again, this one took me forever to pick because I just didn't know. I have sided with Merseyside. this game, at the start of the season, you'd have pegged as who finishes second in the division.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about this game may well end up deciding who wins the Prem North.
Yeah.
And
easily.
the difference between traveling to play the Warriors and having the Blitz come to you is massive.
Yeah.
Should be a good game.
I guess the other thing is Merseyside have the advantage of they have a fair points differential at the moment, so that'll be an interesting one. Have you got any scenarios for this division? I don't think you have
No,
you?
none for this one.
Okay, so we're going to Prem South. London Blitz versus London Warriors. Yay. Second outing of this. Now, Blitz are at home, but obviously London can't be that far. Do you see the Blitz turning over the Warriors here?
No. This is the game we should be excited about. But given what the Warriors did to the Blitz earlier, and sure, the Blitz looked like they made some improvements, the Warriors have kind of had a bit of a lull lately. I say a lull after a 50-point win, but I just can't see how they could have made up that gap. I think the Warriors still win comfortably, and they just keep looking stronger and stronger going towards the playoffs.
See, I wonder if London Warriors rested some players in that first half against London Olympians, realised it was close and threw their starters on to finish them off. London Olympians versus the Farnham Knights. Now the Farnham Knights are coming off of a big win. Okay, Olympians coming off of eventually taking a hiding from the Warriors. You know this, I'd have said the London Olympians really early on, but I'm just not sure. I think the Olympians will win this one, but I don't think it's going to be a huge gap.
No, I think this one could be a lot closer than we expected. I guess the main thing is how that reaction to winning from Farnham buoys them going into this game. And on the flip side, if there's any injuries or lasting issues from the Olympians from playing a physical Warriors side, whether that takes its toll. I think the Olympians win. I think it'll be close though.
Yeah. The other one in this division, Kent Exas versus Bristol Aztecs. Now this becomes a must-win for Kent. A team that looked really strong at the start of the season are up at home, but they're against a very good Bristol Aztecs D, and a team that started to finally score some points.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shock when they beat Bristol early on in the season. However, Bristol seem to have made a lot of positive changes since then. Kent, maybe the physicality of the Prem is starting to take its toll on their bodies and stuff like that, which there's absolutely no shame in it, playing the Warriors and the Blitz and the Olympians. Eventually that's going to wear down on some of your guys. I don't see Kent winning this game based on what I saw against Farnham last week. I think Bristol win.
Yeah, I think I've went with Bristol as well. I think it'll be a very close one. NFC 1 North, Yorkshire Rams take on the East Kilbride Pirates at home. Obviously the Rams are improving week by week, but East Kilbride I think are going to be too tough even away from home here. I can see them racking up some points early. The other game was obviously ourselves versus Gateshead. You have a scenario here. I'm not sure Gateshead, I want to hear it.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we actually missed one from the Prem South, if I just go back quickly. And that's if the London Warriors win and the Aztecs and the Olympians lose, then they'll be playoff bound already.
Okay.
It's inevitable,
yeah.
But it's coming from the NFC 1 North. This game really does become must-win for Gateshead because anything other than a victory up here against Aberdeen means that they're relegated down to Division 2.
Yeah, so must-win game for Gateshead, but we're at home, so we'll see how that one goes over the weekend. And the NFC 1 South, Nottingham Caesars versus Sandwell Steelers. Now the Caesars have had an up and down season. Looked good in a few games, not so good in other games, but they're playing Sandwell. This is only going one way.
Yeah, I go back to my previous statement of if Sandwell are playing, pick Sandwell.
Yeah. Other game, Doncaster Mustangs versus Lancashire Wolverines. Now Doncaster's at home. Lancashire coming off a good few wins. Doncaster have really struggled to put up points this season, so again I think that's an easy one to call. I think Lancashire run away with this one. Yeah,
I actually think I want to put this one on burger alert right now. I think Lancashire will put up a lot of points in a hurry.
Okay. And the last game in that division, Shropshire Revolution versus Chester Romans, which could be the sticky wicket here. Shropshire have looked really strong against Chester Romans over the years. They've looked decent this season, but they gave up a 15-point lead at the weekend. And Chester have been getting better, and they've a fair few weeks of recovery.
Yeah, this now becomes such an interesting game. Do I still think Shropshire have enough? Probably, but at this point it's a massive unknown. We don't know which Shropshire team we're going to get, and we don't know which Chester team. This one should be a good game.
Shropshire at home, I think that's the only real advantage there. But you have other situations for this?
Yeah, for this one here in the NFC 1 South, if Sandwell win and either Lancashire or Shropshire lose, then Sandwell will be playoff guaranteed as well.
And again, that's a given in a few weeks anyway.
It's the inevitable, but you know.
Yeah. In the SFC 1 Central, Sussex Thunder versus Solent Thrashers. Now, a couple of weeks ago I thought, oh, this is going to be a belter, but I'm a bit concerned at how little points Sussex put up against Jurassic Coast. No, not Jurassic Coast. Who was it?
Wrong division.
Speaking rubbish.
Berkshire.
I should have known. And Solent don't give up points. Like, full stop.
Yeah, I mean, Sussex really took a massive blow when they lost to Hertfordshire. Solent haven't exactly been racking up the points either, but I still think Solent seem to constantly have the Thunder's number, and I think that'll continue this weekend.
Yeah, it was close on the first game. Came down to that.
Came down to the last kickoff
That last
return.
kickoff return. So, be an interesting one again, but I think Solent maybe have a little bit too much for them again. The other game in that division, Hertfordshire Cheetahs versus Oxford Saints. Oxford just coming off a loss there to Portsmouth, who Hertfordshire have beat twice. Hertfordshire's at home. I can't see this one going anyway, but a Hertfordshire win.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So then we're on to the SFC 1 East. There wasn't any clinching in that last one, was there?
No.
So the SFC 1 East, Wembley Stallions versus Cambridgeshire Cats. Wembley coming off a decent win again. They are at home, but the Cats undefeated so far.
Yeah, I mean, in what's been an extremely competitive division, I see nothing to suggest that this won't be competitive as well. The Cats are looking strong, they're undefeated, and on top of all that, a Cats win will guarantee them playoff football this weekend. If they needed any extra motivation, which I rather doubt they do, that's there for them as well. Wembley will put up a fight, but Cambridge will get it done.
Don't think I'll be going against the Cats again, so it's they're a win this week, I think. London Hornets versus Outer Ouse Valley Eagles. London have had two tough losses this season, but two extremely close losses. They still look like an extremely strong team. I expect this one to be theirs by a couple of scores.
Yeah, this is only going to go one way. The motivation's low for the Eagles, and the Hornets are still very much in that playoff race.
Yeah. The last game in this division, the Bury Saints versus Colchester Gladiators. Now, one thing I'd like to see, because Bury have had some very close losses as well, I'd like to see them go out and gub Colchester. I'd like to see them just go out and just use Colchester to find as much offence as they can, so when they head into the harder games at the end of the season, then they have a chance of winning them this time instead of losing out by single points. But this is only going one way.
Yeah, I think you're probably likely to get what you ask for this weekend. Most teams have racked up the points against Colchester. I see no reason why Bury don't.
Yeah. In the NFC 2 North, the Dumfries Hunters versus the Darlington Steam. Now, Darlington have been getting better and better, but they got shut out 30-0 at home last week. Dumfries suffered a loss to Inverclyde a couple of weeks ago, so they'll be looking for a bit of comeback. So I think this one's going Dumfries purely because they're at home.
Yeah, this game's probably going to be closer than we've maybe thought a few weeks back. We don't know if Dumfries' loss was down to a massive Inverclyde improvement or, a decline in Dumfries, or whether it was a mixture of both. We weren't there to know. But I still think Dumfries have too much for Darlington. I think they win. However, in the case that they don't, it would guarantee Clyde Valley Blackhawks would be playoff bound by minimum of third seed in that division.
Yeah. So that's going to be an interesting one for Clyde Valley to sit and watch. The SFC 2 Southwest.
Sorry, minimum second seed. I'm speaking nonsense.
Yeah, but where's the Southwest come from? Anyway, it's this. I think it's the West. So Bristol Apache versus Worcestershire Black Knights. Bristol Apache starting to get stronger as their Bristol Aztecs are getting stronger, funny enough. Worcestershire struggling this season to put up any points at all, so I think Bristol take this one home.
Yeah, I mean, what a disastrous year it's been for the Sauce. They were playoff bound last year and then ended up having to forfeit. And this year they just can't buy wins, really. And I think Bristol just add to that misery.
Yeah. And the other game in that division is the game of the week. Torbay Trojans versus South Wales Warriors. Torbay, Wales have been the guys to beat in this division for a while now. Torbay have always been the ones that you thought might do it. I still can't see it this weekend.
I think this will be close. They're two undefeated teams. It's in Torbay. It's a tough one to call. In the score prediction, I said 7-3 to the Warriors. I think this will be under 20 points, although I've called that before and missed. But I think this one definitely will be under 20, and it's going to be a tight game.
Yeah, I can't even remember what score I put. I think it was like 21-17 or something. The SFCs to South, the London Blitz B versus the Swindon Storm. Now, we've already seen London blow away the Swindon Storm. Have we? Or was that Bournemouth? That was Bournemouth.
It was close games with Bournemouth, but Bournemouth blew away the Storm.
So I think that the London Blitz will do one over Swindon here. Of course, assuming it wasn't their starting team that was out against the I've forgotten now, the Hastings Conquerors last week. My mind's going terrible this weekend. The other game, SFC to South East. I swear they're just doing this to mess with my head. The Essex Spartans versus the East Kent Mavericks. Now the Essex Spartans are undefeated. East Kent, good win last week, but it was against Maidstone. But you're not sure about Essex purely because of who they've played.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth pointing out the Essex Spartans have 4 wins, and those 4 wins have come 2 against Maidstone and 2 against Jurassic Coast. Whether that's a slight on Essex, I don't know, but it's not exactly wins you want to write home about. You should win those games. You should win them comfortably. This game might be closer than the standings in the table would currently suggest. I have still backed the Spartans, purely off of when you are winning. Doesn't matter who you're beating, that feel-good factor still carries through. But I think this one will be close and it could go either way.
Be interesting. I think you're right. I think it's going to be an interesting one. And the last game, the Ipswich Cardinals versus the Maidstone Pumas. Now, Ipswich played out a belter a couple of weeks ago, 31-all draw. They look like they can put up points. Can Maidstone equal that? I'm not sure at this point, but they did put up that 19 last week. So I've gone with the Ipswich Cardinals, but Maidstone could give this one a fight.
Yeah, this could be a tight game. An interesting point about Ipswich is they've actually tied twice this year. So, yeah, I mean, I have backed Ipswich, but hey, let's say it's going to be a tie this week. Let's go for 3 ties. Let's say a tie.
Oh, brave call. So that's all the games this week. Again, if you want to send us in your videos of you try to say that word that was got, I'll give you a reminder here. Okay, give us a laugh. So what we'll do is next week we've already wrote out who we think will be potentially playing for the bowl games in each division. So we'll take you through that as well. So it's been Britball with the Breens again, and catch you later.